Donald Trump's voice is on tape twice, with the state's top election official asking to change the election count. Good evening, it's an honor to be here. The words "no principles," "lies," and "cruel" are just some of the descriptions of the 45th and former President of the United States of America, Donald John Trump. His recently deceased older sister, Judge Marianne Trump Berry, offered those words about her younger brother during a session of recordings for their niece Mary Trump's expose into her reality star turned politician uncle. By the way, Judge Trump Berry in 2019 stepped down from her Reagan-era appointed judgeship due to a New York Times investigation into the Trump family's tax practices. To add to the less than stellar illustrations of the twice impeached and indicted Republican president, his own former Attorney General Bill Barr, the Trump era's highest law enforcer in the United States, told Fox News earlier this year that, quote, Trump lacks self-control, end quote. He should not take the stand in the hush money case against him in New York City. This is a lot in such a short span of time in the lead up to a presidential campaign, the campaigning itself, and then a 4-year presidency if elected. I sit on a unique perch and have watched American presidents up close for the last 26 years. I'm gonna say that again, 26 years and 5 presidents. I'm the longest serving Black woman to ever cover the White House in American history. And in just 2 years, I will be the longest serving Black person ever to cover 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Thank you. I began with the presidency of William Jefferson Clinton, then on to George W. Bush, and then to Barack Hussein Obama, and of course then to Donald John Trump, and now to Joseph R. Biden. Since 1997, I have witnessed these Democratic and Republican presidents do what is perceived that's their best in the seat of power. For me, Donald Trump is an anomaly. As former President Trump sits in varying courtrooms over cases that all relate to breaking the rule of law before and during his time in the Oval Office. How did we get here? That's the question. In my opinion, America collectively wanted something new, something not familiar to the old political standards. I think we can all agree on that. America hoped for a fix in Donald Trump, an experiment, if you will, to have someone successful in business and who brings that TV reality show charm, yes, that "you're fired" thing, you know, from The Apprentice. Early on, during the Trump administration's public firings of staff, the press would joke, "This is fire me Monday or fire me Friday," or "you're fired." That's how outrageous it was. We are here now with the experiment, though, in courtrooms in New York, Atlanta, and in Washington, D.C., with many judges saying Donald Trump is not above the law. They also are now issuing gag orders for a man to stop talking about the case and the people involved with the cases for their very lives. However, with all of that, Donald Trump wants to try his case in the court of public opinion instead of the courts of law. The question is, though, will Donald Trump really see time behind bars? The question is, will Donald Trump really see time behind bars? In the Atlanta case, with what is believed to be the most extensive allegations yet, Donald Trump's voice is on tape twice, with the state's top election official asking to change the election count. Even former Obama-era then Attorney General Eric Holder told me in an interview, if any case elicited jail time for Donald Trump, it would be the Atlanta, Georgia case. Holder went on to say Trump was caught on tape in his own words, in his own voice, twice. Trump's desperation to remain as president of the United States was evident while defying the United States Constitution and what the Electoral College was ultimately going to approve, Joe Biden as the 46th president of the United States of America. Donald Trump didn't want that. He wanted more. He wanted January 6th. We don't have to elaborate further on that. As a Republican presidential candidate, Donald Trump says once he wins, he will get revenge against what he calls the liberal vermin. Vermin. That term was used by Hitler, if you didn't know. When Trump speaks, believe him. When Donald John Trump speaks, believe him. When he calls you out, it's in the worst way. I can say I have been on that list of people he's called out. It's not pretty. He breathes and eats revenge. During those 4 Trump years, he called out strong Black women, that was mentioned before, for no reason, just because they disagreed with his policy or choice of words. The names on that list are long. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, reporter Yamiche Alcindor, and reporter April Ryan. Death threats, harassment were just the tip of the iceberg when he put your name on his tongue. Early in his presidency, he talked about Caribbean nations, African nations, and Haitian communities, calling them S-hole nations. The concern of the browning of America for the Trump administration was very real, as the United States Census predicts that in 2045, white America will be the minority. Donald Trump and his immigration policy was solely about creating a tall wall to keep immigrants from coming through the southern border into the United States. However, the largest immigration issue in the United States of America currently are from those who are overstaying their visas in the United States of America. That discussion never came up for Donald Trump. All this led to Black leaders questioning his fitness as president in America. The then Congressman and civil rights icon John Lewis, along with members of the NAACP, began using the word racist to define who Trump was during his presidency. Ultimately, I had to ask on the day we celebrated the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I asked, Mr. President, are you a racist? And to this day, that question still haunts me because in the United States of America, at that time, should any reporter have to ask a president, are you a racist? It took Donald Trump 3 days to answer that question. It hung over the nation like a hard, wet blanket. So many people could not believe that I dared to ask. It was a sad day for me. But I asked, and then later, because of the actions of the then president, Yamiche Alcindor, another woman of color of Haitian descent, a reporter, asked the president months later, Mr. President, are you a nationalist? And he said, no, he wasn't. But he has embraced that term since then. His disrespect of others is not hidden. The president told me to set up a meeting for him and the members of the Congressional Black Caucus as if I wasn't a respected journalist, but a secretary. He also subsequently told me to sit down when I was asking questions. When he called on me or spoke to me in a press conference, about the minority vote that was not being accurately accounted for in that election, in that midterm election. The experience covering Donald Trump was something to behold. The anomaly, that one anomaly out of the 5 presidents. The experience for me was so jarring, I wrote a book about it, Under Fire, reporting from the front lines of the Trump White House. My book tour even brought me here to London, where I spoke to members of parliament about those years. But for me, this is full circle in this moment here in these hallowed halls, to look at the international interest over someone, in my opinion, who has no business back in the White House. That's professional and personal. Over these decades, I've surveyed the most powerful. I've gleaned that power means service. In the Trump case, his power means service to himself. And we are seeing in real time how it has served him. Thank you.